Good morning, most amazing artists.
Good morning, Miss Lowe.
All right, today you are making a symmetrical drawing of a nutcracker. Symmetrical means that you have something on one side that's the same as the other side. We're going to use all kinds of lines and shapes to make this nutcracker. Lines and shapes are an element of art. When we get to the colored pencil part, we're going to talk about another element of art called value and another element called color. So we're using 4 elements of art at least today. You're going to use the lines that I made on your papers, the folded lines, to know where to draw things. So the first shape you're going to do is a square for the middle of your nutcracker's belt. Yes?
So in the middle of the paper?
Yes, above the line right here.
Above?
Then we're going to make a rectangle on one side for his waist and the rest of his belt, and a rectangle on the other side. Later you can come back and add details. If at any point you are ahead of us, you can add details while you're waiting for the next step. The next step is below this line. Below this folded line, we're going to make a line that's about the same length right here for his shoulders. His hair is going to come down, you can see right here where his hair is starting, a little bit into this shape. So we're going to make a line that goes vertically out and down, and another line that goes vertically out and down. If anybody needs to move so they can see better, there's an open seat at the purple table that's really good view for the video. Okay, the next step is to connect lines. So we're going to connect this line and this line and that line. The next step is his bottom of his coat. So the bottom of his coat is between these folded lines right here. So not all the way down here because that's where his boots are going to go. But in between, about right here, we're going to make a line for the bottom of his coat. And then we're going to turn that into an oval shape. Sometimes the nutcrackers, they wear like these furry kind of Santa coats. So you will have that kind of coat. Yes? We're going to connect the lines from here to here. I'm going to go back and do this a second time. I can't pause too many times because that will lose people's attention, but we can go back. So for example, if you missed this part, you can catch up later when we go back and do it a second time. Okay, the next step we're going to do is his boots, his legs, and so the nutcrackers, they had these like thinner leg pants that they wore because it fit well with their boots, kind of like a knight from the medieval times or a king or a joker. So at the very bottom of the page, kind of close, here's the folded line. We're going to go close to the folded line because you don't want his legs to be too far apart. It looks weird. So we're going to do one boot, which is just kind of like a upside down U. And then on the other side of that line, pretty close to it, we're going to do the other boot. Try to make them the same. You can make designs in them if you have extra time. Later, when we talk about value, we're going to use the boots to talk about how to make it look more rounded. The boots go up above this line. So here's the folded line right here. So we're going to make a little rainbow above the boot. A little bit bigger than the boot maybe, if you want the boots to be big. Then we connect lines. So this boot connects to that toe of the boot. Connect the dots. And then this boot, we're going to connect the dots. If you're ahead, you can draw some designs in your boots. You could make them kind of candy cane-like, or maybe cowboy boots. Maybe you want them to be like Western type. The leggings that I talked about that the men used to wear back a long time ago, hundreds of years ago, we're just going to make those by going straight up. You can get a little bit wider with them as you get closer to the coat. If you want his legs to be bigger, you can kind of come out even more. So your choice how big you want his legs to be. Guess he looks a little more soldier-like if he has the wider legs. The next step we're gonna do are the arms. So think about how long the arms go. If sometimes kids, look at my body. Look how my arms go past my hips. Sometimes when kids draw arms, they draw them like stopping here, but that would be really short, right? So Nutcracker is actually correct with putting them all the way down to the bottom of the coat. So even when you draw yourself or somebody else, you're gonna make arms that long. We're gonna start with a rainbow here and a rainbow here. The top part of his arm goes to, see where this line is, the folded line? Pretty far down. So not as far as the belt, but almost to the belt. So I'm gonna do top of the arm here. That part is kind of just decorative, so if you made it a little longer, it's okay, or a little shorter, it's okay. Then we connect the dots. If you want him to look like a soldier, you make him like a little bit bigger. If you want him to look thinner, you can make him a little thinner. The next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the balls right here for the hands. He had fists. So the fist look like golden circles. So we're gonna do one circle here and one circle there for his fist. Then this shape, anybody know what this shape is called? What is it called? A trapezoid. So a trapezoid has a line that's smaller and a line that's longer. So we're gonna do this, and then kind of try to, since they're symmetrical, so sometimes what I'll do to make them in the same spot is I'll go in, like pretend I'm drawing, and then I'll make the line. So like that one was not exactly where the other one was, so I switched it a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, so just do your best. Then these are parallel lines. The trapezoid has two lines that are not parallel. They will cross over each other eventually if they kept going. If they kept going, they would cross. So those are not parallel. The next step is just connecting the dots. So we're going to connect from about here and here to about here and here. And then the same thing on the other side. If they look too thin, you can make them a little bit thicker. If they look too thick, you can make them a little thinner. Yes.
So are the arms supposed to be short?
So these are actually, they should be about from this line almost to past the next line, down to the coat.
Like the base of the arm, like the upper, the shoulder.
You could make them longer if you wanted to. All right, the next step we're gonna do is the head. So we're gonna start with the teeth because you can see that the teeth go up to this line. So we're gonna make a little line like this. The teeth are a really important part of the Nutcracker because that's what they were made for. They were kind of like a toy that was functional and a decoration that was functional. So sometimes in art, like this is cool for a job. Like sometimes artists make art for function, to do something with it, like crack the nuts at Christmas. Sometimes they just make it for something pretty, like to hang a picture on the wall. This was for both historically. Now most of the time they're not for using in the kitchen, but back in the day when my grandmother had one that was actually we used it at Christmas. So to make the rectangle at the bottom, we go like this to make a rectangle. That goes underneath. We'll come back and add the teeth later. So the top of the head is more to the top, like close to the top of the page, but we have to leave some room for the crown. So, and it's also pretty wide. So look how long and wide this line is. That's a pretty long line. The line for the top of the head is also going to be pretty long. Not all the way at the top because we're going to leave room for the crown. But about right here, we're going to go whoosh across. Then his head is like two parentheses. So it's going to come out and back. Out and back, like a big parenthesis. As long as you have room for your crown, it's fine.
How big is the crown gonna be?
So I do the crown like this. I do a triangle without the bottom, then a smaller triangle, and a smaller triangle on both sides. Then another one, if it's still long. If it's not long, you don't have to do that one. And then one half triangle, and another half triangle that go out. And then, actually I could still go out one more, so I'm gonna go out one more. If you don't have room to go out one more, then that's fine. But I see how I like to kind of like go out like this. So you kind of just measure it until it goes enough times. Sometimes the kings or princes would have this rainbow type thing in the back that was like velvety. So see how this one, because the head was not as wide that when I made it that time, it has less. So this head is pretty big. The hair goes to here, from here to here. So from here to here, into that little nook that we made. That was not very good. Okay. So let's do his mustache. So right here, we're gonna make a rainbow, then a smile, and a smile, and then a smile shape to connect. A smile shape to connect. What shape do you see that's the nose? It's how Picasso did a lot of noses. Just a little rectangle. So we're gonna make a rectangle that comes kind of far up, like Picasso. Then the eyes. You can do the eyes however you want, but this is how I did it. A rainbow, and a smile, and a circle, pretty big for the iris, and then a little circle inside for the pupil, and a highlight spot so it could be shiny. I'm gonna show you again, of course, for the other side. Rainbow, smile, big circle, smaller circle, and the highlight has to go in the same place. So wherever you put the highlight, you could put it in a different spot, but you have to match it on both eyes. Okay, the eyebrows are kind of the same, but I do this little line first to make it kind of more masculine, more manly looking. Do those lines. Then we're gonna do a rainbow. And then the next rainbow is gonna go from this point right here to that point. So it's another rainbow. Sometimes people like to do the eye kind of like somewhat under the eyebrow, but we're gonna do them separate. Okay, rainbow on this side, and then the rainbow that's gonna connect this point to this point. Nutcrackers usually have like rosy cheeks, so we do a little circle, kind of like a clown. Sometimes it looks really cool to do hair like this instead. It almost kind of reminds me of a Christmas tree. So if you would like to change your hair out a little bit and do it like that style, you are welcome to do that. Of course, you don't have to do anything how I'm doing it. You can do your own style. I just kind of like that Christmas tree looking hair. Even though I usually make it brown or blonde, it looks cool to have that Christmas tree shape. All right, the teeth are little lines down. Lines are an element of art. That looks really good. Nutcrackers usually have a beard, so kind of just do these like upside down mountain. I'll show you some Nutcracker designs in a minute, but most Nutcrackers, no matter what, they have like a little jacket like this that goes kind of like around their beard, like a little frame. And then the jacket has buttons. So we do 1, 2, 3 circles down. 1, 2, 3 circles down to make the buttons. If you want to connect the buttons to the jacket, this part of the jacket, you can. So you'd have shorter, medium, and longer lines to do that. It's really fun to decorate the belt. You can decorate it however you want. It's fun to decorate the sleeves. You can make them have like extra elaborate designs. I'll show you some examples in a minute, but if you want to think of something special that you have in your mind, sometimes just adding lines, that element of art of lines makes such a big difference. It's really fun to see what you can come up with. You could put a candy cane in his hand. I actually wanted to make his fists a little bit bigger because I made his arms so big. So if you want to make his fist bigger, you can. You can even add a little highlight to those, just like we did for the eye. Just put the highlight in the same spot. Remember I said I was going to talk to you about the element of value. Does anybody remember what value is? What's value? Oh, okay. Well, let's do with the value, and then I'll take questions, okay? So value is when you go dark to light. I want it to be dark on the outside because it makes the Nutcracker, it's like an illusion, an optical illusion that makes it look darker. Every line, like right here, I'm going to make it go darker. Darker. Darker here. Darker at the top under the chin. Darker here, darker on this side. Even the little balls, that's not done, but like even these little like buttons are gonna be, have value. So I'm gonna go dark on the outside and then lighter as it goes towards the middle. If you want them to be golden, you can color them with some yellow, like the hat. The orange makes it dark on the outside. Okay, a value, dark, 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 to lighter, 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 dark, dark, dark to lighter. If I have some lines that I want to really show up, like you see those little crisscross lines that I made? I want those to show up. So how do I make the value darker? What do I do to make them show up?
You take the color pencil and trace them?
Yeah, that's how I make those darker. So even though this is all red, I have darker parts and I have lighter parts because I can create value. I can create value on this part too. These little lines, like the stitching. Maybe this part I want to be darker, so I'm gonna go over it a second time to make it extra dark. This coat is part of that, so I'm gonna go over this, dark, 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 to light, dark, 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 to light, dark under the belt, to lighter, dark, 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 to light, light, light. The face, what would I do on the face? Dark, then lighter, lighter, lighter. Dark, lighter, lighter, lighter. Same with the mustache. I can go over all these lines. making them really nice and dark. Maybe I want this to be white, but I want to have some red. Maybe I want to make this kind of like Santa's outfit with some, I can change that line to make it scalloped. Maybe add a couple little dashes of color. Dark, 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 more value. I can keep adding value until I get to just the right color. Maybe I'm gonna add some dark values in this way so that it kind of adds to that. Maybe I want this part to have red. So I'm gonna go around, dark, dark, dark. So light, 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 dark, dark, dark. That's gonna make this look rounded if I can go dark, darker to lighter. Then add the value. Dark, 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 dark. And voila, I've gotten a lot of details and really pretty things happening. The hair, whatever color you want his hair to be. Sometimes the Nutcrackers, they're like Santa, they have gray hair. So you could do a gray hair. Same thing, go dark on the outside and lighter as you get to the middle. All right, I'm gonna take some questions. Yes. So same thing, with the yellow, you could use, oh, okay, I'll come around to help you and show you at your spot too if you need help with the crown.
I need help.
Yeah, good. All right, so adding value. And another great thing to do is to outline your eyes with a darker color like black or browns, because it really makes it stand out. Make sure the pupil's very dark black. Sometimes it's nice to do two colors in the eyes. I like to do green and blue. It makes it just like stand out a little bit more. Don't forget, whatever color you do his hair, you also have to do the beard that color. So remember that your beard and your hair color should match. Sometimes the mouth is kind of dark because it's like open and you can't really see inside, so you could do that part black. Or you could do it red or brown. You can also trace a lot of your lines that you made with black if you want them to stand out more. So like right here, I might want that to stand out more. Maybe the tops of the eyebrows, the bottom of the crown. That type of stuff you could add to that if you wanted. All right, I'm gonna pause the video and you guys are free to do it as you want and I'll come around and help.